Hi, welcome to day 4 of the JavaScript arrays collections that we are discussing, reviewing, playing around with, anything I can do to find ways to just see how well I am able to understand, comprehend, and share any information that I might have to anybody that could stumble upon this collection, 30-day collection of videos I'm putting together. And the goal is that I'm able to take from day 1 to day 30 different parts of arrays and collections in JavaScript and finding different ways to either make them easier to read, understand, comprehend, anything like that. And mainly it's just a playground. But the hopes are that we're able to see how much JavaScript has to offer in regards to being able to work with arrays. This is day 4. Day 1, we started very simple with just being able to have an array of 5 names and being able to just loop over those names. And that was just using a for loop. And then we were taking that and taking it a step further with for each. So we weren't having to necessarily maintain all this different state where in which we had to with the for loops. Leading into yesterday, where we took for each and worked with a little bit more complicated data and in having objects within inside of the arrays that had different information. And what we did was we just went ahead and manipulated with for each, pushing onto into a new array only the information that we wanted. And that was with the projection function, which we have here, and we projected onto the new array, into the new array, only the information that we wanted. So pretty much what we got here was that we had this big long, we have this big long object, as you can see here. And when we were done, we turned it into where it was just grabbing the ID and the title. Now, what we want to do is go one step further. And one thing that we have to know about for each is that for each itself will actually go and it will mutate. So it will not create a new array. And so that's why we have to say how we're going to be able to take that data that we want and output it into a new object as we have it here with just an ID and a title. So for each does not, for each, if using for each by itself, it mutates. And that's something that we want to stay away from. And so in order for us not to do that, then we actually have to set up this new array, and we actually then have to go ahead and then we have to push to it. Now there's a way for us to get away from this, and because we're still at a point where we're having to say to to implicitly say how we are going to create this new array and how the object is going to look. So what we want to try to do now is that we want to be able to have it to where we don't have to say how we're going to do it. We're not going to have to set up this new array and then push to it. And that's where map comes in. And what map does is that it takes the projection function and then it will, for each, over each of the items, and so for each of those items, it will then add the projection function. Let me see if I'm making that clear. So if we have new releases, and now we're going to map. Okay, and so what we're going to do here is that we'll still do a release again. So this is our projection function. Let's see what would happen if, oh goodness. Let's see if we return ID release.id title release.title. Okay, so if we see here the video and title pairs, you can see our output is we have the ID and we have the title. And here, with this one right here, is we have the same thing. So what we've been able to do here, and I'll get to some of this shorthand here in one moment, but is that instead of actually having to say how we're going to do it, where we've put together this new array, and it's empty, and then for each item in the new releases, we're going to push into that new array an object that's got the ID and the title. Now, rather than having to do that, because again, forEach is just going, all it's going to do is just going to, just mutate this new releases, is that map will actually go ahead and it will forEach over each of the items in the array, and then it will add the projection function, which is this. Just so somebody might not know, this is this is shorthand for the same as goodness gracious, got a lot of things here. I got to do the whole thing now if we wanted to. So what happens is that if we wanted to shorthand this and not have to be explicit, is that we can just get rid of the opening brackets and the return. Yikes. And then just by wrapping it in these parentheses, then that will explicitly, implicitly, I think that's the word, implicitly, return this object for us. And so if it is an object that you're returning, then you wrap it into these parentheses, and it will automatically return that object. But I'm still not sure if that's completely. I'm missing one. I'm still not sure if that's going to give us everything that you need to know. So, so pretty much on the map on the prototype of the array is that let's just put this in here for now. So pretty much what you're looking at is that you're looking at the array prototype map. And what it does is it takes in a projection function. Okay, so now pretty much everything that you're already seeing forEach do is that this is what map does, and it just hides those details so you don't have to worry about them. So pretty much, what it's just doing is that it would look at it this way. And now because map is on the array and we're working against that projection function, and the projection function in the list. This projection function is going to be projected against the items, and so in order to get to that that array that we're going to be manipulating, I hope I'm saying that right, is that we need to go against this, because this is going to point towards that array. So for example, like here with forEach, so map here, when we call map, is going to go against this. And so this right here is the array that we're going to forEach over. And then items in array. And then here, we're just going to do video title pairs, and then we're going to push. And then what are we going to push here? So we're pushing the items projection function. So let's see, well, projection function, items in array. Does that look right? And then we're going to return the video and title pairs. So let's see. So here we're going to apply a projection function against each item in the arrays. So what we've done here is we've taken all of the details of how we're going to do it, and now it's found inside of map. So now we don't have to worry about the hows of how we're going to do it. All we have to say is what we want to come out of it, and that's what we're doing here with the ID and the title. So let's check here. Let me see here. Let's see what we can do. We might get in a little trouble here. Let's just make this. I don't know how that will work properly. Let's try it. What do we have that? Okay. Let's just make sure of something here. I always like to make sure that I'm actually, yeah, okay. I sometimes get myself a little backwards with how I'm supposed to apply. So as you can see here, this map, the same as the map that's on the array, is doing everything we're seeing here. Except for all it's doing is it's just abstracting it away, and it's encapsulating it. So then all we have to do is just call the method map2, and then pass in our projection function. And then over each of the items for there, we're going to go ahead and push from the projection function the items in the array. And then that's going to return exactly what we see here, the ID and the title. Hope that's clear enough. Let's just do something here. Let's go through our usual steps. Let's just take this and let's run it through our execution. All right, so let's see where we get to here. All right, let's just run. So what you're going to see here is that if you watched yesterday's with forEach, is that the steps aren't any different. It's pretty much just going through each of the steps, and probably the reason why is because I still have forEach in there. Oh, let's just remove some of this. Let's see what happens. Ah, okay. So now we've gone from, I gotta remember, I think when we went through the for loop, when we started with the for loop, we had 21 steps that we were going through. When we got to the forEach, we were down to 15, and now we're down to 11. And I think there's not much that is happening besides the fact that most everything that is going on here is that it's hidden under the hood now. So we're not actually having to explicitly say, do this step, do this step, do this step. And so the same goes here, is that, let's see, again, you just, I wonder if this takes just ES6. Let's see what happens. Okay. Okay, so let's open up our body here. So we have the variable declaration, and then we have the expression statement. And let's see, so we have an object expression, and we have two properties. So a couple things is that, that I think that I'm starting to see here just in day 4 is that the abstract syntax tree is getting smaller, which definitely can help in regards to code maintainability. Not as much that can potentially go wrong with less code. And with the less code, bugs, defects, one-offs, anything like that, they can't interweave somehow or another into your code without you seeing it. Oh, goodness gracious. And then the same thing as well here when we watch the execution of it is that there weren't so many steps that had to be taken, that from one step to another there could be issues that are interwoven, because we've taken it to where we allow JavaScript and the array methods like map to handle and will consistently know that anything that is encapsulated with inside of map is always going to be the same. It's always going to be the same output every time. So whatever we put in, we're always going to get out the same. And so that I find very helpful. So what we've done is we've reduced our code. We've removed the need to do this whole part in regards to how we're going to transform our data. And we have eliminated the amount of code that we have to maintain. So so far we've pretty much gone from a for loop where we've got a lot of state that we're maintaining, a lot of code that we're having to be able to in our minds think about, to then go into forEach, where we're not saying what we want to do, we're just saying how we want to do it. And now we've removed the need for how we're going to do it. And we just go ahead and just say, okay, you know what? You use that method, and this is what I want you to return to me. So I hope this was helpful, and I will see you again on day 5 for the next video.